Good morning.
Good morning,
Joss.
everyone.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good
Hey,
morning.
Tara.
Morning.
Morning, Jim. He's muted.
It's muted.
I'll leave it alone. It's so rare. I know you can hear me, Jim.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Everybody doing good?
Aside from fighting with the computer for the entire morning, yeah.
I was talking to Bill this morning. He's having different but similar problems.
Now, they said someone else in the town is having the same problem as me. They'd like to figure them out first because I have the check scanner, and apparently I'm a bit more complicated.
What did Bill say yesterday? It took some of his people a day or 2 days to reboot his whole system.
That was a while ago, and he's
Oh, was
still
it?
not really right. Yeah. Well,
Wow.
for some reason, they rebuilt his computer. I don't have no idea, but why not just get him a new computer? Hey, Marty.
You're muted, Marty.
Good morning.
Ah,
Good morning, sir.
Hi, Jim.
Hello.
Don't
I
tell
was
him.
gonna go back and find a mask to put it on, seeing Jim with the mask on.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jeff.
Jim, did you hear me teasing you?
No, what'd you say? I was,
We're like, Jim, you're muted. I'm like, don't tell him. It's so rare.
it's a good point. I actually ran to the restroom. That's why I had my mask on when I jumped on the screen.
Jim, did you get the appointment for your father at Stony Brook through that 800 number?
Yes, I did, Fred. Thank you so much. My niece was so diligent with it. She kept calling and calling. We got her. I told you we had gotten him an appointment at Walgreens in East Patchogue
Yep.
on Thursday. And then the second dose would have been on Broad Street in Manhattan. And we were ready. We said, you know something, to
Crazy.
get him the 2 doses, we're going to do whatever we need to do. And the Stony Brook, that number you gave us came through because my niece just kept calling and calling and calling and finally got him an appointment on the 5th of March and then the 19th for the second dose.
Where
so much.
where was the person she was speaking to? Certainly not
That
New
I
York.
don't know.
Okay. Morning, Felix. You're muted.
Hey, James,
Hey, Mark,
how's the lobby looking?
Rough.
the building looks a little beat up right now.
Oh,
It's
still looks
Steve
like
Meadows.
Beirut?
Whew.
The second floor's not looking pretty either.
No,
No,
it's
the
not.
stairwell is quite spectacular.
Yeah.
For what reason?
There was a
Pipe
a
burst.
flood.
Broken pipe or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, frozen or broken pipe.
Water
so-
damage. Pretty extensive. Hey, Frank.
Good morning.
Morning, Frank.
Hey,
How we
Frank.
doing? I shaved. I shaved for you guys. Santa
Very
Press is
impressive.
gone.
Very impressive.
I'll be right back. I gotta get some water. Oops.
Good morning, Howard.
Joss,
Yeah.
I see we have some people in the attendees waiting room. If you would just reach out to them. I mean, one of them, I assume I know what project they're here for, but the other one, just so that you know who's who and if and when they should be brought in.
Okay.
Hello, Howard.
Hey, Howard.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Howard.
Lisa, has everyone signed their oath or taken their oath of office?
I was going to ask everybody that. I know that you did yours. I know Marty did his. And last I heard from, there's that frog again. Last I heard from the clerk's office, everyone had been in touch, but I don't know if everyone's actually been there. I know Gary was there the other day. I'm assuming he was able to get in and take care of it. Frank, did you do your oath?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
done.
Okay.
I think Felix is scheduled. He might be scheduled today.
Okay, Felix is on, just not totally in yet. There's Bill.
Good morning,
Morning,
Bill.
Bill.
Hey,
I think
Bill.
Felix
I
said
was
he's
on
actually
Hi, Bill.
scheduled this afternoon.
Good morning.
I
What did
guess
you
Is
say,
it
Jim?
lunchtime yet? I said, is it lunchtime yet?
I
It'll be-
got that.
It will be very shortly.
It's all perspective. What time did you get up?
I got Uber delivering to all of you today.
Well, that's
Oh,
very.
you got the
thank you.
bagels and cream cheese, Frank?
Say,
You're sending it by
food is
PDF.
important, you know?
I think we're just waiting for Gary for a minute because I think that Anne Marie could be a few minutes late,
Yes.
Yeah.
although we do have a quorum, so let's, we'll just wait another minute.
Okay. And we'll wait for Felix to actually join.
Looks like he's connecting now. When was the flood in the town's office?
Couple of weeks ago?
Couple
I
weeks
want to
back,
say it
yeah.
was right around the big storm. I
Oh,
think.
when I was
Yes.
there, the lobby was all a mess
That's what we were
downstairs.
saying,
Second floor's
yeah.
a mess too.
Oh,
So apparently it went down the elevator shaft. It went all through the stairwell. It's not looking pretty.
No.
Did it
The heat
come
doesn't
from
work,
the
the air conditioning doesn't work, the water doesn't work. Beautifully designed building to begin with.
Did the new roof leak?
we can't even blame the town engineers. It was there before,
And
right?
that's, hey, Bill, that's a great question.
I don't think so, because I haven't been on the third floor, but I don't think the third floor had damage. So,
I heard the contact center took a lot of damage.
and that's the third floor.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently it happened near fire prevention.
That's what I heard. And it kind of it flowed downhill, unfortunately.
Yeah.
3 to
Big
2 to
time.
1.
Morning, Felix.
Good morning, Felix.
I wish, I don't know how.
Hey, Felix,
They-
good morning.
With a full agenda, even though Gary's not here yet, I think we really should get started. So we'll open up the meeting for the Local Development Corporation. It is Wednesday, February 10th. It is now 10:04.
Oh. Gary's coming in right now.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Gary, you're muted if you're on.
I'm here. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Hey,
No
Gary.
problem.
All right, the
Hello.
minutes of our meeting of January 20th have been sent to everybody. I'll accept the motion to accept those minutes.
Motion? Yeah.
Second, this is Gary.
Okay, on the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
skip Mrs. Scheit for now, Mr. Trotter,
Yes,
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion carries. Lori, I'll turn it over to you for the CFO report.
Sure. So the statements are not fully completed for January. So I just want to give you an update on the status of our year-end audit and Paris completion for the LDC. The audit fieldwork has been completed. So we're waiting for drafts. There's 1 or 2 open items, confirms that we're waiting for, but most everything that they have asked for, we have provided them. We're expecting to get a draft in the next week and expecting to have some preliminary meetings with the committees just to review them. That's the audit and Paris update. The information has already been entered and updated in Paris. So it's just a matter of pressing the button once we get everything finalized and approved. The other item on the CFO's report is the state controller audit. As you're aware, we received a notification back in January that we were selected for an audit from the New York State OSC. We have not heard any secondary communication back from them. We did make contact, Lisa and I, with Town of Hempstead, who's currently having an LDC audit by the New York State OSC. They gave us some highlights of what they're looking at. Again, open-ended, it's not completed, and their thoughts are, once they finish with Hempstead, they will be contacting us. Any questions?
Lori, two questions. When did Hempstead's audit start? Do we know?
I believe in January also.
Okay.
I
And second,
I think they were notified in December, and then the audit started in January.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Lori, I know you and Lisa have had conversations with the auditors. Is it a possibility we'll have a draft for our meeting next week?
That is what we have been asking for. No confirmation,
Okay,
but as far as I'm concerned, everything, I've given them everything. So nothing should hold back. You know, there's one or two confirms, but all the number information's been provided and audited. No questions.
thank you. Any questions for Lori? Need a motion to accept her report?
So moved. Felix Grucci.
Seconded, Gary.
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
and Mr. Braun votes yes. Lisa, I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry, I was having some technical issues. Annette is having some trouble getting in, and she just asked, okay, I just sent her the login stuff. She's having some issues. And when we send out the calendar invites, let's update them with the login information as soon as we have it so that everybody has it in one place to try and find it. It is always available on our website. Annette can't hear me saying this right now, but I just sent her the link to the website, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that if the this is Gary
Also,
Polakowski, if the calendar invite has the link, that makes it a lot easier. 'Cause
Right,
otherwise
'cause
you're
it's-
rooting through email.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And Annette's email has just gone down
It's
too,
also-
so she's going to join us.
Yeah.
Can we?
It's also helpful though when Joss includes it. When she sends out the agenda with the full package, she always includes
Yeah.
the link as well, and that's always helpful.
Yep, because it's all in one place. I'm not sure what it takes to go back into the calendar invite and insert it, but we'll try. It's always a work in progress.
We can do that.
All right.
It just goes
Annette's
into the notes. That's all.
Okay, all right, good. So that's a, you know, we'll try and clean things up as we can. Okay, so we have a couple of things on the agenda, a couple of resolutions. I want to just take one thing out of order. Included in your packets was a letter that we received from Scott Middleton resigning from the board. So it's included in your packets. I just wanted to let you know. I don't know, does the board need to vote on that? Do they need to take any action, or is that just a matter of information?
Just a matter of information.
Okay, so Scott, the letter's in there. He thanked everybody and expressed his appreciation for his time on the board, but explained that he has work responsibilities that are making staying on the boards not feasible for him right now.
The question that may be on some people's minds is whether or not the board has contacted any of us or me with regard to a replacement for Scott. The answer is no. I don't know where they stand on potential candidates, and we'll fill you in as soon as we know.
Yes, and I know that senior staff had a meeting, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and it was on the agenda. So they're definitely thinking about it. And I just touched base with Annette about it the other day. She said that there hadn't been any movement that she was aware of, but she's keeping an eye on it, and she'll let us know. And if she were on here, she might be able to give us an update. I'm getting text that she's trying to join the meeting, but she's having some, I think there must be some computer issues at town hall, because she said other people in her office are having problems participating in Zoom.
How many board members do we have currently with Scott missing?
6.
And we need,
We're authorized for 7. I know there are other IDAs around the state that have more, but current authorization is for 7.
is it a majority of the quorum or a majority of the board for a vote?
Bill, Howard?
You need You need 4 members to have a quorum, and four members need to vote affirmatively for a resolution.
Okay.
So if you have 4 members present, that's a quorum, and there's a vote that's 3-1 in favor of it, by law, the motion does not pass. That's different from, say, a not-for-profit corporation, but for, under state, for laws for, public authorities and general municipal law, you need a majority of the board has to vote for something, and a majority of the board is also needed for a quorum.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Hello, Annette.
Hi, I finally got on.
And that we were just discussing that Scott resigned and we have an open seat on both the IDA and the LDC. Okay.
Muted.
Lisa, you have some resolutions?
I do have some resolutions. So the first resolution in your packets is the appointment of officers. So since Scott has resigned, Scott was our assistant treasurer. The update to this is that I'm going to remove Scott from this resolution. And I wanted to see if we wanted to put anyone in his assistant treasurer space, if we wanted to leave that open, if we wanted to shuffle anything.
I promised Frank we'd find a position for him. I think this is very appropriate.
I mean, last month you asked and here it is.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Scott here.
We would need a motion to accept that and the change in the resolution.
So moved, Felix Grucci.
I call a vote.
Seconded, Gary.
Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an update to our resolution number 5, which is the adoption of ethics, procurement, property disposition.
Proposal.
Thank you. Just that word. Whistleblower and investment policies. What I'm suggesting is that historically we have followed the town's ethics and procurement policies. Disposal, that was the word I couldn't say. Ethics and procurement policies. And Bill's office has sent us some standalone just for IDAs that some of the other IDAs around the state use. Hempstead and Islip specifically use these policies that we're looking at. And so what I'm suggesting is that we no longer use the town's ethics and procurement and instead have our own.
Do these new ethics weaken what the town had or strengthen to what the town had?
My perspective on it is that it's not necessarily a weaken or a strengthen, it's just cleaner for us rather than us having a system where we're dependent on, let's say, the town clerk, for instance, to handle our ethics issues. We take it in-house.
Yeah. However, this does not excuse you from doing your financial disclosures. You still have to do those.
Yeah, they have to go to the county.
Yeah.
And then you've seen the new ethics proposal?
Yeah, I think it just, as Lisa was trying to say, it fits the IDA a little bit better.
Okay.
Annette, you started to say something?
I'm sorry, the board's not going to be accused of weakening the ethics of the board by adopting this, would it?
No,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Annette, did I hear you to say we still have to send to the town the conflict of interest policy?
To the to the county too. Yep.
I don't know that I've ever sent it to the counties.
What we
Does
sent,
the town forwarded?
Lisa does it for you.
Okay.
so you're talking about the financial, the
The ethics.
annual conflict of interest
Right.
forms.
Okay, on the resolution, a motion, please.
So moved, Felix Grucci.
Second, Marty Callahan.
Call the vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Braun votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a change to resolution number 6, which is our governance, finance, and audit committees. Since Scott has left, I think we should, this resolution needs to be shuffled a little bit. And I also want to remind you that the treasurer and the assistant treasurer cannot be on the audit committee. So it's going to restructure a little bit. I'll remove Scott and put Frank in, but not on the audit committee as the assistant treasurer.
Motion to accept that resolution, please.
So moved, Gary.
Second,
Second, Frank.
any questions? Call a vote, Mr. Carucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion carries.
Last resolution included in your packets is a draft. Sorry, let me just open it. A draft LDC mission statement. So the mission statement and measurement report was included in your packets, but then also it's called proposed changes to resolution 7 was also included in your report. And this is what I'm proposing we update our mission statement to. Did everyone have a chance to look at it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? What do you think? Does it better outline what we do? Would you like it to be, edit? What do you think?
I think it covers what we do and it should be adopted. I'll take a motion to that effect.
Motion.
So
Second,
moved. Gary.
any questions or clarifications? Call a vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, the motion carries.
Okay, so we'll update our mission statement on our website, in our mission and measurement report, and everywhere else that it appears. Thank you. The only other thing I just wanted to make sure is everybody did their oath of office. We started talking about it before the meeting started, but if you have not done it yet, please schedule some time. Is anybody still outstanding?
I am, but I have it scheduled for tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, Felix.
You're welcome.
Gary, you're all good?
I think Gary was there the other day. That's what I heard.
Gary, you muted? All right, we'll check back with Gary then. If there's
Okay.
no other business to be brought before the the local development corporation, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Marty Callahan.
Second,
Second, Felix Grucci.
call a vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr.
Sorry
Trotter,
about that, guys.
Mr. Braun votes yes, then we are adjourned. Okay. We will open the meeting of the Industrial Development Agency. It is Wednesday, February 10th. It is now 10:20. Minutes of our meeting of January 20th have been sent to everyone. I'll take a motion to accept those.
So moved, Felix Grucci.
For a second.
Seconded, Gary Polakowski.
These were transcribed, so they are what they are, but are there any questions or clarifications that need to be made? Hearing none, we'll call a vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, the motion carries. I'll turn it over to Lori for the CFO report.
Okay, as far as the January results, I don't have the financials currently yet. We're working on them, so there's nothing to report there. Our audit of the 12/31 information has been completed. We're awaiting drafts of the financial statements. Most of, if not all of the information has been entered into Paris. So again, once we get those final financials, we can wrap up this process, and we'll have committee meetings where the board and everyone will review the drafts. And the only other thing I want to mention is just that we've been dispersing all the pilots and everything's timely. Any questions?
Lori, as long as you mention pilots, or Joss, anybody delinquent?
We have one that's an issue, that their check bounced. But other than that, all are in.
And who is that?
Regent Tech.
We asked the bank to redeposit the check, attempt it, and it was late in the first place, so penalties and interest and a late fee invoice has gone out.
Unless things have changed, they usually will redeposit it the second time. They will not do it a third time. You can enter it for collection, but hopefully it'll be resolved before then.
That's exactly what she told us. They would do it one more time and that was it. And there's no fee to us for a bounce check.
Okay.
Is this the first time that this company has been delinquent like this?
No.
Oh, when you called them, what was their reaction?
We haven't called them yet because we wanted to see if it redeposits. It's always possible that they moved money. Timing wasn't right. So we're going to give them another chance, although we did send them the invoice that it was late. So there's penalties and interest. Just, did she respond to you yet?
No, she hasn't.
Okay.
When you say it's not the first time, is this something that is creating a problem that we need to take further action on?
Well, this has been, I think this is the third year that they've been in the pilot program, and they have been late with their first half payment, I think every year, or was last year their second half payment. There's been an issue every year.
Is this company in trouble?
Felix, we don't get current financial statements. It's hard to tell. I'm somewhat surprised that under COVID, that this is the only one that is late.
Yeah.
When it has bounced the check.
Okay. Well, I would suggest that we keep an eye on it, and if there's some other further action that's needed, Fred, you'll let us know.
Yes.
Thank you.
What happens if it does bounce again?
Well, we'll go back to them and send them an updated invoice. The check bounced, so they'll owe their first half plus the penalties and interest. And each month the penalties and interest increase 1% going forward. It'll increase 1%. And so I guess your question is, what if they just don't respond, or if that's the case, we can terminate them and put them back on the tax rolls, and then the assessor's office can recoup the full taxation that was due and make everybody whole. It'll be late, everyone will be late in getting their taxes in theory. And if they don't respond to that, then it'll go to the county, just like if any of us didn't pay our taxes.
Right. Okay.
I know that beat, but I'll give it my spiciest shot.
Sorry,
So here's
stalking.
the story. Here's the tea.
I thought we were getting Zoom bombed.
Yeah. I don't know what she was saying, but she's talking. When was that redeposited?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Okay. Do you think we ought to make a call over there and say, look, we redeposited,
We've reached out.
Yeah.
We're not getting any traction. We'll certainly try again.
Okay, so that none of this sounds good.
This is not atypical, though. This has been our experience in the past.
Oh.
Checks are late. I don't know if we've had one bounce from her.
We
No,
have,
but-
no, we
Oh.
have, unfortunately.
What
But when we
type of bus-
redeposited it, it went through. So fingers crossed.
What type of a business?
Well, think positive.
What type of a business is it?
They make the material that goes down into the road for the side and the middle, the lane markings.
Oh.
And it's my understanding is that it's like a material that's you don't have to add anything to, it just goes down. It's a advanced material, not just a paint that goes on.
Mhm.
If it's the ones I'm familiar with, it's almost like a tape that they heat treat, and then it affixes itself to the surface.
It's an adhesive striping
Yeah,
that goes right down, and they do the sides and the main roads, most of the highways.
Do they actually physically do the installation or just make the product?
They make the product.
Make the product.
So they have contracts with various municipalities.
Mhm.
They should be in good shape with highways and things right now, to be honest.
And they
Well, not in bad shape, let's put it that way.
they may be and may have just
Regularly,
miscalculated.
yeah, it's like sending your taxes in to the town receiver and bouncing a check every year. It doesn't seem right, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, as they say, right, Lisa?
Our fearless leader will keep an eye on it.
I know.
Fred's on it.
any other questions for Lori? Take a motion to accept her report, please.
Motion.
Felix Grucci,
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, the motion carries. Lisa?
Okay, so as I mentioned in the LDC, Mr. Middleton has resigned from both the IDA and the LDC boards. So I know I'm taking that out of order, but I just wanted to say that before we went into the resolutions, which impacts our resolutions. You know, we have some guests. So should I take some things out of order just so that our guests aren't waiting?
That's fine.
Okay, so I see that we have guests from the Sun River project. So that is to remind everybody, we had a public hearing last week. There were no comments. That's a 125 unit townhouse project in Manorville. It's a $31 million project. It's adjacent to the existing Pine Hills Golf Course. Included in your packets were a series of documents, supporting documents, and this is a final authorizing resolution. Does anyone have any questions?
Goss, are the guests now in the meeting?
I
They
see
are-
Heatherwood. I
Yep.
see Peter Curry. I haven't heard back from anyone else. Would you like me to let Heatherwood and Peter Curry in?
You
Please.
guys, because they can hear us and see us, we can't hear or see them. So if you guys have questions for them, we could have them join.
Are there any questions on Sun River?
No, it was laid out pretty well, I thought.
I have nothing.
Hearing none, entertain a motion.
So moved, Felix Grucci,
Seconded, Gary Polakowski.
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you to the members of the board.
Thank you, Peter.
I also see Mr. Tunis is in. So let's jump around to Middle Country Meadows. We also had a public hearing for that project last week. We did receive comments which were included in your packets, the transcription of those comments. And to remind everyone, this is an over 55 senior housing facility with 124 units. It's a $37 million project and it's on Middle Country Road in Selden.
And I assume it comports to our UTAP?
Yes,
It will-
they, all of
it
these
will comport to
projects do. And I didn't say this about Sun River, but Sun River and Middle Country Meadows also follow our requirement of affordable and workforce housing components.
So there wouldn't be, so there's not a need for me to ask this question continuously. Would the application ever get to us if it didn't conform to our UTAP?
We certainly could get an application that doesn't conform, but it wouldn't get to a final authorizing resolution.
Right, it wouldn't come to the board if it didn't conform.
Unless you approve it as a deviation.
Okay,
Which would be so noted.
Yeah, an application could come in that's not in conformity with the UTAP. you would have to consider it as a deviation, looking at all the facts and circumstances. However, this project is not a deviation.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for Peter Curry or Bill or Howard?
Anne Marie just joined.
Good morning, Anne Marie.
Sorry to be so late.
It's okay.
Entertain a
Right,
motion
right
for
to
Middle
the
Country
end.
Meadows
So
Tony
moved.
Callahan, so moved.
Second,
Second.
Felix Grucci.
on the vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Polakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Scheid, are you familiar with it? The vote?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, yes, and yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, the motion carries.
Thank you again to the members of the board.
Thank you, Peter.
Now you can silence me again, although I'll still leave my tie on.
Just as I look at the attendees, I think I'm going to continue to jump around if everybody is okay with that. I see that we have a guest from the Massilia Real Estate A1 Family Group application. So if you jump down into the applications, this is an application for the proposed purchase of a 32,000 square foot existing building. It's on 2.5 acres at 1644 Route 112 in Port Jeff Station. It's a $4.2 million project, and the company does installation of roofs to residential and commercial facilities. They have 72 employees, and they're currently in 2 facilities, one in Nesconset and one in Port Jeff Station. They lease those facilities, but the facility in Port Jefferson, they lease from themselves, from a related entity. They are going to add 10 more employees as a result of this move, and they plan to lease about 10,000 square feet to a third party. Howard, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, Lisa, thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
This is a building, as Lisa said, on 112. It's bounced around from a number of different furniture outlets over the years. I think it's an excellent use of the building.
I'll make a motion, Felix Grucci.
To accept.
Second.
Go ahead, Frank. We'll call a vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Braun will abstain because on the application, it was indicated that they may go through the SBA 504 program. And as I've indicated in the past, I chair one of those loan committees, so I will abstain. But the motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I see that there are 2 other guests. I apologize. 2 other guests to attendees. So attendees, if you'd like to just type what project you're here for, I'll take it out of order. And if you're just here to observe, that's fine too.
Michael Gibson is here for Amneal. I am not aware of what S. Goldstein's involvement is, but I can bring
Okay.
Michael Gibson in if you'd like.
Sure. The next application that, since we have a guest for it, is NMAMNI LLC. I'm not saying that again, please. This is a request for the assignment and assumption of the LAX hotel facility. That's the facility that Amneal Pharmaceuticals works out of. It's their 50 Horse Block Road facility. Amneal is going to remain in the facility, and it is a $89 million project. Bill, do you want to fill in
Yeah.
the gaps?
So there's really 2 parts of this today. Is actually approving the application as well as approving the transfer of the ownership of the property or the lease of the property. This is one of the last deals that the IDA actually is the fee owner of the property. So the IDA is in fee title. It's being leased currently to LAX Hotel LLC, and their rights under that lease and the pilot and the other documents, which will then amend and restate, So we can approve that now. We are going to hold a public hearing for this. And they also have requested mortgage recording tax exemption on a mortgage in an amount not to exceed 75 million, will probably come in a little bit less than that. And that'll also be covered in the public hearing. So we will be back in March, the March board meeting, to approve the granting of the mortgage recording tax exemption and the execution delivery of that mortgage. So you'll see this again next month. But right now, in addition to accepting the application, we are approving the transfer from LAX Hotel to NMAMNI LLC. And I think we should also adopt a resolution saying all applicants must have a name you can pronounce.
Bill, I think I might have missed it, but does this have any effect on the pilot payments?
Oh, so there's several years left on the pilot. They are assuming the obligation under the existing pilot. We have not been asked to extend the pilot.
Okay, and there's no reduction in the pilot payment?
No, absolutely no reduction in the pilot, whatever is owed. And, and those pilot payments really flow to the benefit of Amneal, who's been paying them. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions for the guests that are on? Hearing none, entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
moved.
Felix Grucci.
Second,
Seconded, Gary Polakowski.
call the vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
And thanks to the board. Have a great day.
Two.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to
Lisa,
start.
excuse me, Lisa. Josh, no one else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to start at the beginning of the resolutions now. Like we did with the LDC, I propose that we make a change to the slate of officers resolution. I'm assuming that we're going to do the same thing, remove Scott and place Frank as the assistant treasurer.
Need a motion?
So moved. Marty Callahan.
second, Anne Marie.
Thank you. Call the vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Ron votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, Amy, would you update the IDA and the LDC websites with this information? Thank you. The next item on the agenda, just like with the LDC, is our governance, finance, and audit committees. So again, I suggest that we remove Scott and then also remove the treasurer and the assistant treasurer from the audit committee so that we're in line with the LDC.
Motion,
So moved. Marty Callahan.
second.
second, Anne Marie.
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Mr. Ron votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item, like the LDC, is the ethics, procurement, property disposal, whistleblower, and investment policies. And again, I suggest that we move from using the town's ethics and procurement policies to our own policies that are a little bit of a better fit for us.
Motion,
so
So
moved.
moved.
Anne Marie and Gary, thank you. On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Trotter. Mr. Trotter, you having lunch?
I think he's frozen.
He looks like he's frozen.
Yes.
Ron votes
No,
yes.
No, I said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't hear you. Mr. Ron votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Now
Yeah.
we can hear and see you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 24, adoption of an incentive compensation policy. So to remind everyone, annually, we put together a series of goals for the staff to work towards. Fred, do you want to go over these? Do you want me to?
No, I can do that.
Okay.
We are recommending again that the pool be $85,000, which is what it was for 2020. We paid out with a special COVID amount. I believe the total was 66,000. The parameters, what we've done is we've kind of looked at where the actuals were for the last 2 or 3 years, came up with an average. Lisa and I took a look at what's in the hopper in terms of existing applications and came up with the goals and objectives for 2021 as shown on the incentive policy, which has been circulated to everyone. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept.
So moved, Gary.
Second, Anne Marie.
On the vote, Mr. Carucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, and the motion carries.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution for the MS packaging project. To remind everybody, this is a proposed 140,000 square foot building on Natcon Drive in Shirley. It's a $14 million project, and they're going to be adding 13 employees and keeping the site that we supported a few years ago on Zorn Boulevard. So this is a significant expansion for them. This is a final authorizing resolution.
Yeah, as you might.
I'm so sorry. This is not a final authorizing resolution. Howard's going to explain what this is.
This is a preliminary resolution. You previously accepted the application at the last meeting. And this just simply memorializes that and indicates that you're inclined to proceed processing the application and proceeding with the project. It doesn't require you to proceed if you find something that you're uncomfortable with, if CEQA doesn't go properly, things of that kind. So it doesn't bind you in any way.
This is the company that in 2020 refinanced their existing building, put the money in the piggy bank, and waiting for the opportunity to find the property to expand, and that's exactly what this is.
They're actually exceeding what they promised us.
Yeah, that's true. And quicker.
Mhm.
Yes.
What's the new job creation that this will create?
This will create 13 new employees.
Excellent. Great, thank you.
Motion on the resolution, please.
So moved, Felix Grucci.
Second. Anne Marie, thank you. I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you.
I call a vote. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
Braun votes yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the AE Castle project. This is a final authorizing resolution. Just to remind everyone, this is a $4.4 million battery storage project at the town's Castle facility on North Ocean Avenue in Patchogue. We had a public hearing the other day and there was no comment. Does anyone have any questions? I've actually learned a decent amount about battery storage. It's interesting.
Anything you want to share?
Just that there's typically we've been dealing with power purchase agreements, and so it's a little bit different. There's a program called VEDR, I think, so you say it, and
VEDR, yep.
VEDR, and so they're able to extract energy from the grid, hold it, and then when there's a peak need, I think they have to have 48 hours. No, there's some notice involved in it, but they can then LIPA can then pull the energy out of the battery, and then the company has a period of time where they have to grab power back into it when it's a low peak time. So they're then poised and ready to help in a peak moment again.
So why this works well with solar is obvious. When the sun is warmer, especially in the Northeast, and the days are longer, it produces more energy. So you pull it off the grid and you store it. And how these companies get paid is in credits. And what actually we're negotiating right now with this deal is the county's going to buy their credit, the town would buy their credits for 90 cents on the dollar. So they get credits off electric bills for this from LIPA, and we would buy them from Agilitas for 90 cents. So we would have a 10-cent savings. So if our bill for this building, for instance, is $100,000, we bought credits from them at 90%, 90 cents on a dollar, whatever those credits were, we would get, let's say they had $1,000 worth of credits. We would pay 900, but we would pay the LIPA bill with $1,000 of credits. And it comes right off our bill. And we would only pay them, we would save 10%. So we're negotiating that right now. So it's really a win-win. And you're going to see more of these. We're working on some other ones.
How big is this battery?
It's about the size of a Casone trailer.
Okay.
So there's actually going to be 2 at Castle.
Annette, does the town own that property or lease it?
We own it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Something we really didn't need to buy. It was when they were expanding their empire under the Democrats.
Oops, I remember. And just to point out to everyone, since it is on town property, this is a zeroed out pilot for 20 years.
Annette, this is a question for you. Is there any environmental hazard with this battery and the storage of it?
Not at all. It's like, it's the size of a Casone trailer. They can actually stack them one on top of another too. And it's just like having a battery there, you know? Just.
Well, my experience with batteries is when they leak, there's a mess.
Yeah, but it's all enclosed. So it's not like if it leaks, it's going to leak in that plastic enclosure.
Okay.
And it's on slabs and everything else. The site plan's going through administrative review of planning.
Got it.
There's
Thank
a
you.
little bit of wetlands on that site, so we just have to be careful because the headwaters of the river are over there.
Yeah, as Annette said, Felix, they build these on a slab. They usually has like a curb surrounding it. So if there's any leakage or if there was a fire and they had to spray with foam, it would all be contained. It won't be going into the ground.
Thank you.
But these will become more common as more solar and more wind power comes on. You really need these for at night when there's no solar and when there's no wind. So they kind of are the backups for those renewables energy sources.
And it sounds like an easy process. You need it, you take it out.
Energy sources.
You can put it back in, so it's there for the future. But my colleagues in the Energy Center have pointed out that it's really it's tricky to make sure that you don't plug in the power to the grid at the wrong voltage or a whole bunch of other things that I don't understand. We are doing some work for the Navy right now on this, and we have, thanks to Lisa, we've reached out to Agilitas to see whether there are needs that they will have in the future. As Bill just said, there are more of these things going in that we can help them out with. So we want it to continue to be a win-win.
Is this project strictly for governmental use, or do they also sell these credits to the general public?
Well, so I'm not sure if Annette heard you, but they reached out to me and just asked if the town would be interested. I suspect that the credits are so
Yeah.
much that it's not realistic for a resident to purchase, but Annette?
You need to offload these on somebody who has. Okay, well, tell them I called them. All right, bye. The supervisor's office, I'm sorry. So, basically what you need is a big user. It could work that way. There's another program that's Fit 5, which there's a 2 megawatt. Lisa, you know about this. They wanted to put it on the Schuster Farm in the Carmen's River.
Yep.
So, that was a big no. But we're trying to relocate that somewhere, and it's a 2 megawatt, and that one will feed in to low and moderate income families, and they will get the benefit of that. So there's different programs. This particular one is not in that program. This, I think, is Fit 3. But there is in Fit 5 that there's a program just for that. And Con Ed's also looking for town property to do the same kind of thing, put battery storage. So you're going to see a lot of these guys. Get used to them.
If there are no other questions, just to remind everybody, I need a motion for final authorizing resolution for AE Castle.
Motion?
Second,
Thank you, Annette.
You're welcome.
Anne Marie, excuse me. On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan? Marty, you muted.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Braun votes yes, the motion carried.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a final authorizing resolution for the Max Solar Facility. And just to remind everybody, this is a $2.4 million project. It's a 1,170 kilowatt solar carport. Sorry, my puppy has found a squeak toy. Solar, a solar carport at the town of Brookhaven's Mauritius Athletic Center in Mauritius. We had a public hearing the other day and there were no comments. And this is a final authorizing resolution. Does anyone have any questions?
Hearing
So
none, a
moved.
motion?
So move.
Second,
Seconded, Gary.
on the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Holtzville Solar Project. And again, for each of these resolutions, there's a series of documents included in your packets. But this is a $2.6 million solar carport project at the town's Holtzville Ecology Center. This is 1,428 kilowatt project, solar project. Again, we had a public hearing yesterday and there were no comments. Does anyone have any questions?
Hearing none, motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes.
Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, the last resolution on the agenda is for the Mastic Beach Solar Project. Again, this is a final authorizing resolution. Again, there's a series of documents included in your packets. This is a $1.7 million project. It's 942 kilowatts of solar on the rooftop and carports at the town's Mastic Aquatic Center. We had a public hearing. There were no comments. And like the other ones, since they are on town property, there's a zeroed out pilot.
Motion,
Questions?
So moved, Marty Callahan.
Seconded, Gary Polakowski.
call the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes.
Trotter?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, motion carries. Just a question, this is the same developer that put the solar panels across the street at the amphitheater?
Yes,
Yes.
the
No.
last,
No,
No?
that wound up being C2 across the street.
Well,
That's their one and only.
He
at the
started it,
amphitheater.
yeah.
he started it.
He started it.
He started
but
it
right.
and
It
then
got
he flipped it.
transferred. Right. It
Right.
never closed. That's the one that closed twice.
Right.
This
Is that
is Daniel
fine, Deb.
Procopi. It's Ion Renewables. And he also, we think, is going to get a 5 megawatt award for the landfill, fingers crossed, in March. He's #1 on the waiting list. So, and that's that Fit 5 one. So maybe that goes to low income. We don't know yet till we get it. But
But just-
that would be the start of what we could probably put 15, 20, maybe more megawatts up on the cap of the landfill.
And he told us in his applications that there would be, I'm sorry, this is like very vague in my head, that he would be selling these, or that there would be an investor coming in. There's some additional piece to this.
He always has I always see that he has an investor. He kind of develops the projects and he'll build them with
Yeah.
some of the companies.
He brings in tax
Yeah.
credit investors,
Yep.
so you can get federal tax credits. So the way they get those, they'll come in as the members of the LLC.
Yep.
And they get the tax credits.
But you won't need another
Very similar to
closing that
loans
way.
and housing tax.
Right.
Okay.
No.
And
We this time, unlike the last time, we covered that in the public hearing and the resolution, and so authorizing those tax credit investors to come in.
And that is the solar array across the street fully functional at this point?
No.
Still not.
No, they've had a lot of problems with the unions. I've been using Wayne Rogers. He just smoothed another one out with the electrical union, and it was basically that C2 is a ginormous corporation, and that little project gets lost in the sauce, but it's getting there. The panels are up if you go over there now. Finally, the steel, they have problems with the steel union. We called the iron workers. Wayne resolved that. Now he worked with the electrical as like 3 weeks ago. I was working on that. So hopefully before the spring, we'll have that one hooked up too. The roof is on here. It's been on since December 31st.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the last one of the first projects over there that needs to go online. The airport's online now, the roof, the array here, Holtzville, Manorville. Now you're going to see another one coming for Manorville 2 and perhaps Holtzville 2 from Agilitas.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Lisa, you're muted. Okay, there you go.
So I think I misspoke and I said that was the last resolution. Actually, the last resolution on the agenda is for the crosstown cable mortgage amendment. I'm going to turn this over to Bill to explain.
Sure. So if you recall, last year at the February board meeting, we approved a refinancing of Crosstown Cable's mortgage and new money on the project. That wound up never closing. They had issues with the lender, so they're back now. Will be a new mortgages. The new money is going to be smaller. Last time, the new money was a little over $30 million. They decided now just refinance the existing amount, and the new money is only going to be $13,200,000. So they have requested the agency to consent to join in granting that mortgage and authorizing a mortgage recording tax exemption, which will be just under $100,000. So we do not need to hold a new public hearing. So it's really just deja vu all over again, but on a smaller number.
Bill, is that cable working again? Because it was out for a while.
Since July.
They said it's up and running. It was up and running, I think, as of the end of January. If you recall, they had a fire in the Connecticut side about 1.5 years ago.
Mhm.
They got it working, but they had equipment problems in Connecticut after the fire. And they had to basically, my understanding is, make some major repairs over on the Connecticut side that took longer than anticipated, but it is now up and running, my understanding.
Good.
How does the difference in the financing change the project or not?
No,
Nothing.
it's just no change in the project.
Okay, thank you.
Motion?
You're welcome.
So moved, Felix Grucci.
Seconded,
Anne
Gary
Marie.
Polakowski.
I'm not sure who takes credit for that, but I heard both.
I'll
of them.
give it to Gary.
All right.
That's okay.
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes,
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes.
The Braun votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is a request that we received from Port Jefferson Crossing and Suffolk County. Bill, would you explain this one as well?
Yeah, I mean, Suffolk County, through their basically affordable housing program, is making, in the grand scheme of things, a very small mortgage, and they've been the most difficult to deal with. But basically, the county wants us to agree that we will not amend any of the lease documents without their consent as about the fourth mortgagee on the property. It's kind of a silly request, but you know, the only amendments we would make going forward, and their consent will not be unreasonably withheld or delayed. You know, the only amendments we would ever make would either be at the request of the company or as required by statute. So that would come back and just make sure the board was okay with that. I mean, I don't think I've ever had that in a mortgage document. Normally we'd say we have to give notice to the lenders before we make the change, but they want their consent. So we're just coming back to the board to make sure that's okay.
Any questions of Bill on this project?
This will probably, this project, we're in the process of closing electronically right now, gathering all the signatures pages, so it'll close hopefully by Friday. It just, COVID times, closings are a little fluid than they used to be.
Motion on the amendment, please.
Motion?
Second.
Second, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit.
yes.
Yes, or do you want to abstain?
If, it sounds like maybe I should, so I will.
Okay. Mr. Trotter?
It's a CDC project.
Thank you for the reminder. Cleaner than Caesar's wife.
Mr. Trotter?
Yes.
Braun votes yes, the motion carries.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, although it says IDA LDC functions, which is what I wrote in my notes, I meant economic development functions. I just wanted to give you guys an update that I met with the town, and they are, we went through the whole list of items that economic development does. And they are supportive of us continuing to do, I'd say, most of those responsibilities, not all. And what they have agreed to is to reimburse us for our time spent on those items. So, and I apologize. What we're doing is we added a line onto our timesheets. So when somebody does something that falls under those economic development responsibilities, we're just noting it. And then I guess monthly or quarterly, we will be sending, depending on the workload, we'll be sending the town our invoice and for reimbursement. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that we will continue to take care of those items, and the town will be reimbursing us for it.
We had originally suggested that they offset a portion of our rent, but for accounting reasons or whatever, we'll pay the full rent and they'll pay us on an hourly basis for whatever we do for the town and economic development.
Do we have an hourly fee that we're going to submit, or do we have to do a computation every time somebody works on something?
No, Lori did, she did a very robust analysis of everybody's all-in costs, and we came up with an average of $100 an hour, which we discussed, I think, at the last meeting. I spoke to the town about possibly adjusting that and didn't get much traction, but then I've gone back to Lori and we went through everything again. And I do think that that's a strong, reasonable number for us. And Lori, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
I think the number covers every possible cost that an employee has. So I think it's a fair.
Do we have an administrative cost in that $100, or is it just strictly time and benefits for the employee?
Strictly time and benefits. Because most of us do our own administrative, like typing our own emails or letters or things like that. So there's not usually much involvement. But if there is an admin person that's working on a project, they also would charge that $100.
Yeah.
So that's how we would make it.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you a heads up, just so that you were aware of workflow and responsibilities and how things were flowing and progressing in the office. The next item on the agenda, a special meeting, I just really wanted to remind everybody that we have a brief meeting scheduled for next Wednesday. As it stands right now, we have one authorizing resolution and a request to extend sales tax. So I don't expect that it's going to be a very long meeting. It's possible that we could get a few other things in there between now and then, but for the most part, I just wanted to remind everyone about that. I know Lori mentioned this, but I wanted to just point out that we are going to try to schedule an audit committee meeting in advance of our March 24th meeting to give the audit committee time to review the audit. So Frank and Marty, you guys are excluded from that. Sorry. Or maybe you're welcome, I don't know. So I just wanted to mention that as soon as we get a draft, we're gonna, or we get confirmation that we will have a draft, we will work on scheduling that. And that again, should be a pretty brief meeting, but we're trying to clean up our systems a little bit with our committee meetings, which brings me to another thing. We're going to work on scheduling a calendar for the entire year and pre-scheduling our committee meetings so that every August we have a finance committee meeting so that we can just sort of get in the rhythm of having these committee meetings a little more formally, which we should be doing. So I just wanted.
Lisa, would that be joint committee meetings for the IDA and LDC?
If appropriate, what I'm thinking, we're playing with it, but what I'm thinking is, let's say so our budgets are due to the state in the end of October. Thanks, Lori, she's nodding. So what I was thinking is if we had a budget committee, a finance committee meeting in, let's say, August, that would give the committee time to review a budget that's put together, and then it'll give us time to have it to the full board. And maybe August doesn't make sense, maybe it should be September, but whatever, to have it to the board in, let's say, October. But if it was something that we only applies to the IDA, doesn't apply to the LDC, then I don't think we would have to have a meeting. And we could always say, listen, every November we review our fees or something, so we have a finance committee meeting, but we don't feel it's necessary right now. So it's flexible, but I'm trying to get us into the rhythm of having these committee meetings. Oh, we just have somebody joining. She's so sweet. Sorry, it just totally threw me off.
Oh,
Looks like she's
You
busy
took over
working.
the meeting, Bill.
All right.
Taking minutes.
I'll get focused, sorry. But she is just so adorable. So I'm just going to try to get us having these meetings at least twice a year for each committee. And Lori, a lot of this falls on her because we have finance and the audit committee and governance, but finance and audit, Lori, you can.
We'll make it. I mean, I think it's a good process just to be in the same, so we have it. If anybody asks, we've had these meetings. They'll be brief.
Yeah. Okay, so does anyone have any questions?
Nope.
And everybody's done or is doing their oath of office, so we're all set with that. I think the only other item is executive session. So I think Joss is going to send out the call-in number for executive session. We can all call in, and Joss, you're going to stay on the Zoom just in case anybody joins, because we're going to have to come back into the Zoom to close the meeting. And I know Bill is going to tell me that we need to say that we are going into executive session to discuss potential lawsuits and contracts, I think is the appropriate reason for this executive session.
So as Jocelyn's typing that number, I will take a motion to go into executive session.
Motion,
Second,
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mr. Scheit,
yes.
Trotter,
yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, and we are headed to executive session.
Okay, Jess, will you just also CC our guests that are joining us there? Okay, thank you. I'll talk to everybody in a minute.
Okay.
You muted,
we're
Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, you muted.
Hey, James, long time no see, buddy. How are you?
All right, Marty, how are you?
Hello.
I'm good.
Fred, why didn't you tell us this meeting was going to be so much fun?
I forgot how
I
much
would've
fun
bought
it could be.
This goes on 40 years, I think, this project. Right, Fred? Isn't they started it?
Oh, it's much longer than that,
Oh,
Yeah.
much longer.
Fred, remember Starrett Housing?
Oh, my goodness.
I heard of that too, Jimmy.
Yeah, Starrett Housing, going back to the 80s.
Yeah,
Hello.
I was in high school. Shit.
Hello, Felix.
How are you, Fred?
Just Ducky.
Peachy, peachy.
I'll bet you we have the most exciting IDA in all of Suffolk County.
Right now, today we do. All right, Frank's
You
back.
would be able to probably do.
We're just waiting for Gary, I guess, and Lisa. I don't know whether.
Check the window ledger, see if Lisa's jumping.
Felix, she already jumped.
Oh, boy.
All right, Gary's back. We're just waiting for Lisa. I don't know whether Bill will come back or not. Hello, Gary.
Hi.
We're just waiting for Lisa.
Frank, I like the new look.
You like it, huh? Nice.
Although I like the beard too. You look good in the beard.
I hated the beard, but it was,
Hello, Lisa.
Kept you warm?
Oh,
I got a new grandchild
I
coming.
was
don't
just
wanna skip
texting you,
into it,
just in
maybe.
case.
Okay,
how's it going? Saying goodbye?
I think everyone is here. Lisa, is there anything else you want to bring up?
Well, before that, I make a motion that we come out of executive session and back into public session.
That's an excellent motion.
I second it.
All right, I'll call a vote just for the heck of it. Mr. Grucci,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. We are back in regular session. Lisa, is there anything further?
No.
All right, so our next meeting will be 10 o'clock on 17th, perhaps with some additional guests, correct?
It looks like we should think about bringing lunch.
Maybe supper.
Well, Frank promised Uber. I haven't seen any
Hey.
Ubers yet.
It didn't get there yet? Oh, my God.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Felix.
Seconded.
On the vote, Mr. Grucci,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Scheit,
Yes, and I just found a press announcement dated August 29th, 2012, reporting the town's approval of the master developer agreement for the Ronkonkoma Hub.
What was the
A while
date?
ago.
August 29th, 2012.
Wow.
Okay,
Long time ago.
Mr. Trotter,
Yes.
Prior administration.
Mr. Braun votes yes. We are concluded. Thank you all.
Bye now.
Thanks, guys.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
If there's
Take
any
good care.
information, Lisa, send it our way. I'll pull out Jimmy's old thing, but yeah.
I'm gonna ask Jim to take care of that.
Okay, Jimmy, take good care of that for me,
I'll
huh?
do the best I can, even though I have no
Thank
idea
you.
what we're talking about.
Jim, just stay on for a second.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I guess Joss, you too, because if you hang up, I think we all go. The
oh.
board wants you to gather up.
You want me- Bye.
Bye, Frank. You can stay, Frank. It's fine. Or go. It's up to you.
Oh, okay. Bye.
They want you to gather up from planning all the plans for Ronk Hub, what's being proposed, what's already done on